Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Hope you're able to stretch, move around, get a drink, get a snack, all the fun stuff. We are going to get right back into it as Diadora, during her interlude, is newly arrived to Jorix and is currently just processing a lot of things. Had to say goodbye to a couple family, fellow party members, and is kind of adjusting from being in a very quiet setting to a very loud setting, such as the city of Jorix itself proper. And during this time has, after settling in at an inn, parted ways with Rory, aka Blackstone, for a little bit of time, and has taken Sparky for a walk in the woods, finding a spot overlooking the city, and noticed that Shiftweave seemed to be trying to reach out to them, and in that moment was struggling with that connection. But after Diadora also reaching out, that connection is made, and that is where we are picking up. So, one minute, you're standing in the forest, Sparky at your side. And the next, you're beneath that golden sky, a bright tree before you, and field wheat everywhere. You've been here before. This is, whether it's your mind palace or the Shiftweave itself has fully embraced you in this moment, you're here. Sparky is with you, but is not fully himself. You can see instead is shown instead as his shadow, inked out on half. And there's a quiet as you see the constellations moving about in the sky above you. There's no Lady of the Veil here. Maybe that's a relief. Maybe it's not. But that's not what draws your attention. What draws your attention in this moment is the tree itself, which is before you. A massive willow that rises up. And as you stare at it, you realize that the trunk itself is constantly moving. It looks like the threads of shadow have basically interwoven themselves around a branch or a trunk of the tree, and that it is pure shadow, it is pure Shiftweave. Every now and then you see glimmers of silver and gold kind of interdispersed, but everything of this land, this area, is Shiftweave. What is shadow? What is Shiftweave? It's the idea of three. And in fact, the Shiftweave symbol in itself is a triangle with one line going through it. It's the presence of both the light, the darkness or shadow in this moment, and self coming together. Because you cannot have one without the other. And I think in this moment you see those small kind of triangles moving about, and you realize too that that's actually the shape of the wheat stalks up at the top. It's not the solid grain that you've seen moving around Ampistrano, but tiny little triangles all interwoven together.
Is it kind of how, like, when you look at something under a microscope, how it looks sort of like you can see each individual, like, section of it? Kind of like that. Like when you look at, like, salt, it looks like kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Okay.
literally looks like you can see kind of the marriages between light, shadow, and in this instance, I would say it's Diadora's self. Because this is your shift weave. So you see interwoven, and it might even be just memories or emotions of happiness. This is your field. You've heard it described before of a pool of many tears have been, cried in someone's life. You don't have a pool. You don't have a lake. It is a field that expands around you, and there are markers around this field. Instead of scarecrows, you see instead the stands where normally those scarecrows would be, and each of them a different color. One of them a red one. Another a kind of blue with, it looks like owl feathers interwoven around it. And the final one, you can immediately sense and smell the sea air on it of a vibrant kind of blue, and you can see a captain's jacket kind of hanging off of it. Those are around you. You see another with a mask just on the base instead. And moving about as well are these through the fields. You can see are smaller versions of Sparky, more so in his puppy form, seemingly kind of doing the thing of like just making sure everything is in order. Of just like checking that nothing, every now and then you see maybe like a crow or something kind of coming to land before all of a sudden you hear these little yips of like dogs trying to scare it away. And eventually they are exactly that. They are scared away. Hang on. That's not the song I wanted. There we go. I think, too, you feel the presence of not one. It's confusing. It's three, but it's one. And as you look back towards the tree, where the trunk of the tree is, the light kind of pulls together to form that symbol of the triangle with the line through it. And you hear, it's strange. Diadora, when you think of yourself and everyone you've met so far, who would you say is who's the person that has left the biggest impact on you? And this could be someone that's either alive or they have moved on.
Just in general or in a specific way?
Nope, just and who, maybe when Diadora was younger, who did Diadora want to be just like? If, for instance, who pushed Diadora on the course that she now finds herself on?
I will answer that as soon as I let Sparky in.
I say at this moment too, we have more of those every now and then, crows kind of seemingly trying to pick at the wheat in the area surrounding in Diadora's kind of mind palace. And with that, you can see on each grain of wheat, each stalk, interwoven are portions of Diadora. You see moments of happiness, you see moments of sadness, of fear, of doubt, and I think that is more present right now as you're kind of in a similar mood, is kind of from where you're standing. You can see the stalks, almost like the roots coming from where you are out to those specific wheat stalks.
Sparky's misbehaving, sorry. I don't know if there's any one person who's had a big impact on Diadora, because I think for her, every person important to her has left a big impact on her. So I don't know if I don't think she's the type of person to like rank things like that, especially because the impacts have all been very different. And like they all mean something to her.
You hear then, we'll say for the sake of honoring that, you hear multiple voices, all of them familiar to you. You hear your brothers, you hear your grandmothers, you hear everyone's voices kind of melding together along with these other voices that you don't know. And it's all coming from that symbol that's left on the tree. It sounds weak.
And you said there are things approaching from the wheat?
There's more of those kind of crows, which as you're kind of looking at them, each crow sparks a different memory. One crow is the moment that you died. That specific moment of time. Another, this one I would say is growing, a much kind of larger, fat kind of crow is picking at some of the wheat. And this one, I think, is holding on to the majority of your emotions tied to what recently happened in Vanya. And it's pecking at you. It's pecking at those other stalks to allow for those more sickly kind of stalks to grow. The ones where the doubt, the kind of angst is there. And that one is the closest to you right now. But it stands between you and the tree.
In this space, do I have like all of my stuff with me, or is this like sort of okay?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was like Matrix rules or something. Well, if it's between me and the tree, and it's eating it's eating me, basically. I think I want to fucking attack it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Roll an attack.
Bird, you fucking hopefully you shouldn't have that hard of an armor class, right? That's a 12 to hit.
You swing, and just as you swing, the bird kind of hops, kind of unbothered, out of the way. Kind of looks up at you before immediately starting to peck again at the roots of the tree, which in response, you've been hearing these voices, but you can't hear what they're saying just yet. It's like that connection is just not getting through to you. They're not projecting. It's like when that person you're in the same room, they're clearly talking to you, but they're mumbling the whole time, so it's really hard to kind of yeah. But you can tell every time the tree is talking because the symbol illuminates on the tree.
Okay. I would like to try to I know I just think that's what Diadora would do.
Yeah.
Like But I think this time, instead of swinging her sword, I think she just wants to try to like more like grapple it than like kill it.
Sure.
You know.
Okay.
So I'll try to grapple. I'll do like an athletics check, I guess.
Yes, go for it.
Okay. 27.
Yeah, you describe how you grapple this bird, who
I just
is like the size of a small turkey, I would say, honestly.
I guess I grab it like as you would a fucking turkey. I just like kind of like hand on the neck, just scoop it up with my other arm, like in a way that it can't like wriggle too much or try to like fly away and stuff, like kind of hold its wings down.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and holding it against me.
And it doesn't squawk. It just kind of, it's fighting in your arms, but it's there. You have it. And you can see after like a moment or two, as you've kind of grappled, where the roots of this shiftweave kind of tree that was connecting you to it, it's almost like the roots themselves are mending. As you see several of these miniature Sparkies are coming through and kind of licking at the roots, almost like to heal it, and you can see like the light kind of pulsating as it's reformed. Baby roots, not as strong as they were, but that might be based off of your passive insight. This might be a representation of how you are feeling with the shiftweave. You know, how you disappeared into Blackstone's mind to try and figure out some of his memories back in Felk. This might be the shiftweave starting to try and make more of a connection with you, but also the realization that you did not know as much as you thought you did about the shiftweave in the first place.
Which, I mean, I didn't think I knew much.
Yeah.
So I already knew I didn't know shit. So
it's a new root taking origin.
I look at examine the tree, see these new roots growing, but also some of the older ones mending themselves. And then I look down at this fucking crow, like, and I guess like, because all of this space is my shiftweave, it's me, which means that this crow was also part of it, right? Or I could at least assume that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as you're holding it, it's not. It's one of those creatures, much like how you manifest your shiftweave of ink. Because even as you're holding it, like it's got that stickiness of, you know, like wet ink on parchment, and you can see that your hands are blackened. Your armor is getting blackened by the ink as well. It's staining. And where you can see where it's staining bits of your armor, it's not coming off. And in fact, you can feel the coolness of the ink through the armor until after a few moments as you're holding it, you are drenched, like it's pouring through. And that coolness seems to not zap your energy, but kind of stops you for a second. Because everything that you've ever known or experienced with a shiftweave has always been warmth. It's been comfort. This is different. This is uncomfortable. But it's like it wants to get to know you. It's a different portion of the shiftweave that, much like a old friend in some retrospects, wants to reconnect and get to know you, but doesn't know the boundaries fully. And so you find yourself not only fighting to keep it, but also fighting to keep yourself because it's staining everything.
I think I'll still holding this crow, I'll turn it so we're eye to eye with each other and just say, if you want to get to know me, you have to stop destroying me. You don't get to know somebody by coming into their home and eating all of their food. I will feed you. You do not need to steal from me.
And it kind of pecks a couple times at your armor. And you can see where it pecks these kind of silver threads of cracks starting to appear on the armor itself.
You also don't need to destroy my things.
And it seems to peck a little bit more vigorously, cutting away.
Is it just cutting away the ink? Or is it cutting away the armor?
Both.
Right.
It's cutting away both, but it's where then you see that your shift weave is kind of starting to pour out as well in response. And it's kind of like watching ink put in water.
So it's kind of bleeding, almost kind of spreading out, but still
staying above.
Wispy.
Yeah, and it's not blending. It's not
it's not
watercolor.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not
so
watercolor.
It's oil and vinegar. Okay.
Exactly, yes. So it's staying up above, and yours is the stuff that's staying up above. The rest of this crow, and what it's kind of doing to your armor, doing to you is kind of keeping you afloat. And it's in this moment as you're looking at the crow, that's when some of the words from the symbol on the tree start to connect. And you hear your grandmother, you hear your brother. And in shift weave, and you hear, open yourself up. Just kind of hanging in the air.
I think contemplate these words and the crow and just everything around me right now. It's very interesting that my inner self, for lack of a better term, is a wheat field, because wheat there are so many things you can do with it. You can use it to weave, or you can use the grain and make flour and then bread, and it's just it is a food that kind of symbolizes abundance, also just nutrition or whatever. And so I look at this word and I hear those words, and I think instead of trying to hold the bird back and keep it at arm's length, I will gently embrace it.
And it stops fighting in your grasp. You can still feel the pressure differences as the two shift weaves are kind of blending, or trying to rather. But this crow kind of slowly kind of melts in on you, and you see your armor transforming a bit, mending back the pieces that were broken. But you can see those clear lines of where you are and where the crow is. And then almost like a needle and a thread, the light and the shadow from the tree kind of pulling together to sew everything back together. It's strange. Because you can feel many eyes on you in this moment, too. That constellation above, the figures that you've been familiar with, either that have been shooting stars or stationary planets throughout your life. And you hear again the voice from the tree. And I think in this moment you see your grandmother, you see a representation of your brother, all interspersed around the wheat fields, talking.
I'll move closer to them.
And they kind of stand, arms not outstretched, just out at their sides, looking at you with a very neutral expression on their face. And as they speak, it sounds like a whisper of when you've gone without water for too long. Brittle. New. Thou resents me.
No. Why would you say that?
And in response, kind of the shadow from the wind kicks up. And those same words from before of, was it worth it? Seemingly, this is how they are responding. Using those memories.
They kind of look down and like shame. But not so much as like shame as like, oh, I can't believe you heard that, but more so like I'm sorry that you heard that because that's not what I meant. And I'll say, I don't resent you. I resent the actions that happened around you. I resent the choices that I made. But I could never resent you.
And based off of your passive kind of perception, the statement that they made, thou resents me, you sense that they weren't judging. It was more of just almost like a statement of fact for them in that moment before you clarified.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's how I took it, and like not so much like a guilt trippy type of like statement, because I like, yeah, the shift weave like has like is a living thing, but and not to say that it doesn't have emotions or whatever, but like I like in this moment it didn't feel the way that they said it didn't sound like a judgment or like an accusation.
The shift weave, as you would know too, isn't one to necessarily give judgment. That's something more the veil does to kind of then, especially with souls or even some of the other gods in the pantheon, to come up with those judgments, whether it be laws or coin or other weather. The shift weave is the true embodiment of neutral in the truest of senses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's represented as 3. That marriage of light and dark and self all coming together. And I'd like to think maybe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that perhaps this may be why you and Blackstone have kind of gotten along so well too. Because as they're kind of asking these questions, it's in a very scientifical, trying to understand way. But at the same time, some of their questioning comes across as very naive, childlike, and trying to understand those. You've had that experience before.
Yeah, I do think that is part of the reason why I like Blackstone. It's not,
not the main,
or like how that we get along, I think because like the way that they ask questions is also in some ways the same way that Diadora asks questions. They're a little bit more analytical than Diadora is, I think. But I do think that like just sort of like that wanting to know and also waiting to pass judgment or choosing not to pass judgment at all, like just wanting like to know what's going on first before. And I think Blackstone is, well, I know Blackstone's maybe a bit better about it than Diadora is, but that's because of programming. Because Diadora oftentimes does also kind of run on her emotions too, and just what she thinks in the moment is right without sort of thinking about it first. But Blackstone always got her back, so
it's true.
Blackstone's always there to be like, yo, we fighting?
He's always at your back. And I think in response to you, again, the visions of your brother, your grandmother, everyone looking at you with a question in the air and in their eyes. And for a moment you see the wheat field clear. And instead you see these kind of shadowy pathways leading to each of them from you.
Leading towards my brother, my grandmother, and who was the third one?
The third one in this one is the tree itself.
Oh, the tree. Okay. Do I feel like if I choose one, the others would be closed off to me?
Not closed. Why don't you roll an insight check?
Oh boy, okay. Can't just answer the question.
Nope. Shift weave, everything's more complicated, man.
Let me use inspiration.
Okay.
Oh. 19?
19. I think from your insight on this, and in the line of the response that you made, of the outcome, the shift weave in this moment is asking, what other path would you have taken? What else could you have done? Could have happened? And it's not necessarily expecting you to have an answer because of the shadows that are in place. A choice was made.
Okay.
You hear, as they are now saying this, a choice was made. A path was walked. Who's to say that the outcome wouldn't have been different had you walked a different path? To ask that question, and you see in this moment the field rises back up, and instead now your grandmother is holding a candle that's lit, and your brother is holding a candle that is not lit. To ask yourself that question, while reflective in its nature, for it's good to always be aware, does more harm than good. And in that moment, your grandmother's candle snuffs out. It's what leads you onto this path of unsureness, and why we ask why thou resents us so. where you resent yourself.
This hits Diadora kind of like a blow to the chest because, like, I think deep down she knew that it was her being hard on herself. But it's a lot easier to blame circumstance a lot, like most of the time, than accept what you've done, the choices you've made, and realize that in the grand scheme of things, it's fine. You know? I think it's like not seeing the forest for the trees type of moment where it's like she was really only focused on the outcome, the people who walked away. And I don't think that's something easily to stop feeling.
Sure. I think... oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that as these words kind of hit her, I think she does sort of just like fall to the ground, like kind of sink down onto the ground in the middle of the suite and just sort of like cry a bit, because I don't think there's ever been a moment where she's hated herself, and to understand now that that's what this is, really, she doesn't know how to deal with that.
And you see, I think, more of those crows picking at the roots connecting you to the tree.
Mm-hmm.
But you get the sense that this is in this moment, as you kind of see that the outlines of the crows are blurry. This is more of, again, another vision of the Shiftweave versus the crow that you were grappling in the earlier.
Yeah.
But each time one of those crows pecks at the connection between you and the Shiftweave, and you see that root starting to shrivel up, you hear your words over the last day, after the last week, no, several weeks, all pecking away at who you are at this. And it could be something as nonchalant as, you hear some comments and phrases from conversations you had with not only yourself internally, but with Sparky on your walks as you were doing tricks and trying to get yourself back together, being off-kiltered since the moment that you passed, feeling unable to do something as Aurea was in trouble, unable to do something as Aurea was in trouble, unable to do something as Aurea was in trouble 3 different times. All of that chipping away at you. And each time, as each of these birds come to the tree to pick away at it, your brother one side, your grandmother the other, Sparky in moments, shooing away the crow and pulling a thread, a pure shadow, and starting to stitch away the bonds, trying to help you reform, letting you know that they are still there.
As I see them constantly going back and stitching up the tree and shooing the crows away, I think I get up. And we're like, how far away from the tree am I?
Not far, I would say 10 feet.
I don't stand up then. I will crawl to the tree. And I will touch its roots myself.
As you crawl, the Sparky that's both here but not is shadowing your every step.
Literally.
In moments kind of leaning up against you, in moments where maybe all of the mental fatigue that you've been dealing with, emotional, is manifested here. You do not, in this moment, as you're crawling, you're realizing you do not feel as strong as you normally are. It's like when the last time you were super sick, probably much younger, feeling weak, body every little bit of moment protesting, moving forward. And you feel at moments choked, whether it be by the dust or yourself.
That feeling of weakness, of sickness, terrifies me. Reminds me of the time when I was a kid and sick all the fucking time. To the point where even my brother, who's always in my corner, told me that I should never leave the tribe because I wouldn't survive. Because I'm sick all the fucking time. And out of pride, out of spite, out of pettiness, whatever you want to call it, chose to prove them all wrong. And now I have to prove myself wrong.
And I think you hear the words of your brother, "Don't leave," echoes. Don't leave, don't leave, don't leave. Each of those words that come to mind, whether it's your brother or a different memory, play and echo with each trek forward until eventually, yes, you are touching the leaves, and it's almost as if your grandmother and your brother in this moment, it's like you're not there. They are still caring about you. See very carefully stitching, much like a wounded Shiftweavian warrior being brought back to camp. Magic will only get so far. Sometimes you have to stitch skin back together and give it time. Magic can always assist, potions can always assist, but at the same time, to rush that can actually traumatize, can do more harm than good. For in this time, it allows for space, it allows for growth, it allows for healing, not only physically, mentally, emotionally, shift-wise too. Especially as you are dealing with not only one enemy that seems to be attacking at the weak points, those moments of resentment. And indeed, you remember the soldier back in Vibran who was resentful of you and of the position that we were forced into. None of it was your fault. But much like a weed left unchecked, grew and took root and was chipping away at who you were.
I think as I touch the tree, I start sort of pouring some of my own shiftweave into it to try to strengthen the roots even more. And as I hear Indigo and my grandmother, the grandmother didn't say anything, but like saying like, "Don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave." I'll say, I'm not leaving. I've never been closer. And I try to strengthen that connection with the tree.
And you see some of the roots starting to wrap around your fingers. Almost like a little flower almost holding your hand. as they're like trying to reassure you that they're there, they're not leaving either. It's one thing to feel yourself being poured into something else, something bigger, grander. And why don't you roll a shift weave check for me, please, as this happens?
Okay, let me check what my bonus is.
I think it's a 4, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it is. Okay. Sorry.
You're good.
I'm gonna use inspiration again. So I'm rolling like dog shit. It's just indicative of where Diadora is right now. So that's 16.
16. Again, I think that visual of a droplet of ink and water, much like oil. You are a droplet of ink in what is a vast ocean of the shift weave. And you feel something that was created much at the start of the universe. Whether it was a big bang of a constellation, a star exploding, or otherwise. Shadow has always been there. Light has always been there. Self. Always. And you can hear in this moment the voices of those that have already passed on, all watching in this moment. You hear echoes of hello, 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 welcoming you into the shift weave, all quiet. It's like when your volume is turned down, or when you're walking into a room and you're kind of adjusting to the sound. Quiet, but it's there. And the tree itself is transforming in this time too. You see as the kind of smooth edges that have been this trunk of the tree with the symbol, as your brother Indigo stands there, as your grandmother stands there, the tree itself shifts, changes. You see faces of individuals from all over until it's a tree of faces that are all staring and watching you. As that hangs in the air.
I look back at them, and I think it's only briefly that I feel like a drop in the ocean, because as I hear these voices saying hello to me, welcoming me, it's a very fleeting thought, but I think that it doesn't matter if I'm a single drop, because so many things started out as a single drop and grew over time. I'm just here to help it grow. I'm just here to help it persist.
And what's more, with this kind of budding connection that you're doing, you not only, I think this might hit Diadora a little bit more, it's not only the voices of those that have passed on, but almost like raindrops. You can hear the voices of those that have yet to be, all interwoven in this shift weave that makes up this space. All of them are keeping an eye on you, but I think in response to you helping it grow, you kind of feel a hand on either of your shoulders, and it's Indigo and your grandmother who have placed a hand on both sides. And where their hand touches, you can see they are also holding threads of the shift weave. And they seem to be trying to the cloth of your cloak, to your armor rather, trying to mend. And you kind of get the sense of in response, you hear, "Help it grow, help it grow, help it grow," echoed. Before one of the word changes, "Help you grow, help you grow."
We can help each other grow.
And in that, you... Oh, go on.
Oh, because I'm not me without you. And I think maybe in some ways you're not you without me.
You see in that moment, your grandmother kind of steps back. And she looks behind her towards the tree, where you see now on the tree itself the faces of Shiftweavians, those that have already come, some of them in brief glimpses rather. You recognize some of these faces from some of the visions you've seen in your journey so far. You see kind of pulling out of the symbol of the shift weave, you see a figure stepping forward. This is one that you are familiar with as well. And I have to imagine that it feels almost like a slight stab. It's the face that you saw while in Vanya. It's the face of, and they are wearing the armor. You see a tall Shiftweavian warrior. At this moment, they have their helmet off and it's to the side. They're kind of leaning on it. And their eyes are just golden beams of light that show no emotion. Tall. Their skin in this moment, it reminds me of Javian back in Felk. Shadow is just pouring off of them. It is them in this instance. And you can see where they step. There's a pulse. And you can kind of feel actually the wind kind of whipping back through as they step forward, fully stepping out of the tree. And at that moment, all of the shift weave that had been attached to the tree itself, hands on the armor in portions. She is tall. She looks truthfully not much older than you, but whose light was snuffed out quickly by whatever that oblivion that was eating away at everything.
I see her. Even as I feel like the power of her steps sort of like it's like a Dragon Ball Z moment where it's like, you know, like just the wind. But I don't step back. I don't even flinch. And I see her in this light that was snuffed out. And I hear these voices of those past, present, and future. And I latch onto the future. And I look at this warrior. And I've always known this, but in this moment it clicks. That if I don't step it up, and I don't stop what this is, whatever this is, we will all end up like this warrior. And there won't be anyone. There won't be any future. None of these lives will come to fruition. And I look at her and I say, I have your armor.
No response. She just looks. Eyes are blazing. And with it, you get the sense she can hear everything that you're thinking.
Yeah.
The shadow is echoing that to her. And instead, her face kind of hardens for a moment. Eyes, that light hardening as she seems to just be much like a warrior on the field, assessing you as she looks you up and down, taking you in.
I do the same back.
She's noted. And you see probably the wisp of a smile on her face for a second before it disappears.
As she's assessing, I've said, I have your armor. And I'll say, your weapon is missing. Will you help me locate it?
A couple things happen in that moment. She's assessing you, and you hear a question on the wind before you're able to ask, will you help me? And the question is, you fear for everyone else's future and protecting that, but what of your own?
Who says my future isn't connected to theirs?
She kind of turns aside, looking to the many faces that are all just watching, hand still on her armor.
She's like, how do I answer that question?
No,
I'm kidding. Okay,
if only.
expect her to ask that.
No. But seemingly, she's we'll say this based off of your passive perception. She is the voice of the Shiftweave in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the tree using their energy to kind of pull it into one conduit, one anchor.
I understand what you're saying. But I've never been one to put myself, my future, over others. I don't see myself as being above anyone else. And if I don't fight to protect the future, there's no point in me thinking about my own.
She kind of nods. And as she's answering this, I'll get to in a minute of what else is kind of happening, but you kind of see she holds out her hands in front of her, and the armor glows. It's always been that black, but you see now in the inlays of where the chest is, this Shiftweave's gloom glows, the hues of the gold and the silver coming together, and almost like threads pull out of the armor itself before manifesting almost into a ball in front of her, and she holds it. I merely ask. Oh, go on.
Oh, no, go ahead.
And she's holding the ball in her hand, just kind of almost like a bowl. Like she's honestly, how casually she's holding it's like she's both having a bowl of cereal, but also she's holding the most precious thing ever. And she's looking down at it, and she looks up at you before looking back at everyone else. I merely ask because your wording made it seem as though you were snuffing yourself out for everyone else. The blend of the shift weave is that the light does not eclipse the dark does not eclipse the light, the self does not eclipse. There is a balance. And there is a fear that as what is led, and she kind of holds the light out and it floats, kind of looking over, and you see the aspects of the tree where the threads that Indigo and your grandmother have tied, sewed, tried to assist, where the weak points were between you and the shift weave tree. There is the fear that will expand. That's all. We wish to have clarification of Thou's role in this. There must be balance.
Perhaps I should stop speaking so plainly and simply. It's not the first time that I've been misunderstood for my words.
And I think as she's talking, and in that moment, that's I think when the will you help comes through. There's more movement from the tree, and you see stepping out from behind her is a massive direwolf. Truthfully, the size of a horse. It's just massive in stature.
Hey, looking up at this direwolf, then looking down at Sparky like, holy fucking shit. And I thought Sparky was huge.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
And you see is wearing very similar armor.
Mm-hmm.
But you also get the sense, much like her, life and light were snuffed out far too soon. And I think you see Sparky come at attention. Like the thing very much of like, soon as
shit.
My boss is here. Kind of like,
this guy's gonna beat my ass.
Literally looks like they could probably eat Sparky for breakfast and still be hungry in like an hour.
Jesus Christ.
Beautiful black wolf. Scars marking the body. Shadow and shift weave pouring off of it. But bright, friendly green eyes that honestly give you the vision for a moment of a grassy field on a sunny day. And he growls lightly. And from that, you can see the shift weave thread that is him, his name, what's his name, comes through because there's no, even in the shift weavian shadow writings, there's no recollection or record of this beast. There's barely any recollection of this warrior. That oblivion seemingly more than just physical, the visceral of the erasure of that person's being from history, the books, everything. With someone so pivotal. And they stand and they both stare at each other for a moment, like two friends seeing each other again after a very long time. Before looking back towards the both of you. The armor, should it accept you, and you accept it, will be your guide, the shift weave, your map. It has fallen into hands of one who does not know how to use it. So for the moment, however small this luck is, and at least in this particular instance, the shift weave is safe. but I cannot guarantee it will be held for long.
Of course. I will do what I can.
It's resilient in its own way.
As are all of us. And I gesture to all the shift weave. I will help you restore your names.
Kind of see a small smile. If you can, that would be great, but if you can restore order between the Shiftweave tribes, that would probably be my wish.
I know how to prioritize.
You hear a chuckle.
But you deserve to be known.
But I already am. You knew who I was. She looks at your brother. Your brother knows who I am. Your grandmother knows who I am. I am alive as long as the Shiftweave is alive. And I am known as long as the Shiftweave is known. And I am even more represented by the fact that you hold that armor in your bag. As long as someone remembers the Shiftweave, I am not lost. A fact I carry in death, or this unlife. As the oblivion did not get its wish, I was not stuffed out, not completely.
Hard to stuff out, Shadow.
Call it my moment of pettiness.
I tend to be the calm, rational one, but I do love a moment of pettiness.
The armor is a heavy burden, much like this whole quest is.
Yes.
I cannot guarantee it will accept you.
That's fine. If it doesn't, then I'll find another way.
It's not the armor that makes the warrior. She's saying this, and in this moment, it's also your grandmother that's also saying it at the same time.
It's the warrior that makes the armor.
They both nod.
Yes, I will. If I can't find a way, then I will make one.
I think you see everyone kind of looking at each other. Mutual expressions for the most part, save for the champion, who kind of gives a very small smile. You see, if anything, it's more the weariness of all of this. I can tell that you will be one to be remembered, Diadora. Regardless.
I would love to be remembered. But I'm okay with being forgotten as long as I've done what I need to do, or what I want to do, before my time comes.
Well, it is lucky then, for when we are at our lowest point, we're open to the greatest of changes. And I think your journey and education with Shiftweave is about to expand, if you are open to it.
Yes, of course I am. I don't have to learn how to read, do I?
No.
Because I feel like that would take a while, and we don't really have the time.
No.
Okay.
The Shift Weave will never ask you more of yourself that it doesn't believe is already possible. We, much like the veil itself casts judgment, but not, as is often stereotyped. We will not give you any task that we do not think you can handle. And in our own way, we will give resources and aid. For you are not in this alone.
The Shift Weave has already helped me so much, even before this moment. And to your point, as long as the Shift Weave is remembered, I will be remembered.
You see, at that moment, she kind of leans back and hits the tree. And interspersed between all the faces that are kind of staring, watching all of this, you see, and you'll be able to read it, don't worry, in Shift Weaving, again, this golden and silver light interspersed around the faces, names. You see Fenrir and an image of a small boy, probably 13, maybe 14, comes to mind. Just learning how to fight before was snuffed out. You see all of these names both expanding backwards hundreds, thousands of years. And then from where you're standing, the name's starting to lessen to the point that it gets to you, but your name is not written yet on this tree. Not yet.
Because I haven't been... Do I get the feeling that the names are written on the tree because they had a connection to the Shift Weave? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, God, I hope my name doesn't go on there if it means I gotta die.
No. No. No, because you see names too of again, similar, those that have yet to be. And
Okay.
It's not that they are forgotten, it's not that they don't exist. It's the thought of them exists. But their connection is already so strong with the Shift Weave.
I will have my name written amongst yours. I'm like talking to like the collective. And I hope I do you all proud.
I'll kind of nod before you see the champion kind of giving you just another long look. Why don't you roll a perception check?
Can I use Sparky to give you advantage?
Yeah, Sparky. Anytime Sparky's there, you have advantage.
Okay, you said perception.
Yeah, the perception, please.
Perception.
Perception.
19.
19. You see a look on her face of a couple different things. She is both comforted by what you have said. Seemingly the future is in strong, capable hands. But I think you also see, with how close you are to her as well, how kind of wistful she is as well. Not jealousy, but I think that emotion of conflict on her face of, again, allowing herself this moment of wishing she had been able to do more, to leave the world better than how you found it. But knowing she did everything she possibly could. And I think this you will feel just a pang, and it's just the smallest little bit of jealousy for a moment of that you're going to be hopefully able to see this tale through, and her kind of wishing she was out on the field instead. It's not in the hateful, you don't get any sense of hateful.
Yeah, it's just like a longing almost,
Yeah,
like for what
like
was.
being happy for you in some sense, but also kind of grieving for you in others, right? Because by you opening up this door, it is not fully shutting others, much like those pathways that the shift weave was asking about in the first place. It's making those pathways more difficult for sure, but those pathways are always open to you.
Yeah.
But
it's like I'm like, by doing this, I am inviting problems, but ultimately it will be a good thing. I think as I sense this coming off of her, I think for me, she will sense just the idea, like, you are continuing the story and you will be on the battlefield, because as shift weave, we are one.
You kind of see at that moment too, the wolf leans down to put a paw on her shoulder, and you just see her kind of immediately like kind of pushing forward, like almost like that weight is even tough for her to bear. Before she nods, and her wolf disappears back into the tree. The tree parts more, and she, much fully still embraced by the shift weave, also is pulled back within until you just see her face slowly merging. And then you're just staring at the shift weave. Indigo and your grandmother on either side. And in the sky, you see almost like a new shooting star starting to form in the distance. Purple and gold showing. And sparky.
Purple and gold?
Yeah, purple and gold.
Are those colors associated with anyone?
Not someone you've met yet.
Okay. Just wondering. I was like, oh. Okay.
I think in that moment too, Sparky kind of nips at your fingertips. And Indigo and your grandmother and the symbol of the shift weave, the rest of the faces of the tree have also, similar to the champion, kind of melded back. And they look at you for a moment before they go back to stitching. The smaller versions of Sparky back with those. There's lesser crows now, but they're still there. And you still sense the one that you kind of absorbed. Still there with you too. You feel the weight of it. You can feel almost like the wings kind of moving in your chest. A flutter every now and then. And you blink, and your arm is outstretched, and you're back in the woods.
Is it still like night or?
Looks like no time has passed, it looks like.
Okay. Like, it would be really funny if I woke up and there were just people around me. Like,
6 days later.
Yeah, the world's fucking done.
Nope. Hand just outstretched.
Okay. I will pick myself up. Look around, sort of a little disoriented, I think, for a moment. Remember where I am. And I'll look to Sparky and I say, we have work to do.
immediately starts barking in response, tail wagging.
Yeah. Let's go back to the room, get some sleep.
And you head back. And that is where we will end this interlude for today. Wow, that was so good. Oh my goodness. Oh, Fair. Oh, Diadora. I love gaming with you so much. Get me all emotional over here.
You're welcome.
Oh boy. Thank you all so much. I'm gonna turn it over to Fair. Fair, why don't you tell us who you are, where we can find and support all the wonderful things that you're doing?
Hi, I'm Fair. You can follow me on socials, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, here on Twitch. I do stream. You can also subscribe to my YouTube, Fairbear Games, where I have VODs uploaded by Jordan. TikTok is also managed by Jordan. I don't do anything. I've done one TikTok. So like in the past couple weeks. Yeah, you can also find me over on Dibbles and Dice's channel Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern for Philly by Night, The Monster Within, which is a Vampire the Masquerade campaign where we all play new baby Camarilla vampires. And you will soon be able to find me on Summon Stories on YouTube for Passages Through Lost Places, which is a Tales of the Valiant campaign. So keep an eye out for that. Best way to know what I'm doing when I'm doing it is to follow me on Blue Sky.
Thank you so much. And yes, please go follow and support Fair and Diadora. Hi everyone, I have been your storyteller for today, D&D Jordan Lee, she, they pronouns. This is my channel, and I love telling awesome stories with my friends. I will be back later this week with more games, but keep an eye on the socials for schedule. We will be back next week for a return to the current timeline with Diadora and Blackstone, aka Rory. As I assume they're gonna get up to some shenanigans, but we will have to see.
Shenanigan of fuckery for sure.
Exactly. Yep. So we will do that. Mott's will be then back the following week. So we're almost fully back, which is great, and I'm super excited. But yeah, thank you all so much for today. Tech issues and all. I think this was a great episode. And yeah, we are gonna be rating out. We're gonna head over to Stella Luna, who's live with their new show. They're doing a call to power, doing something with, it looks like the Hedron system or something like that. I'm very curious about it, but we're gonna go check it out. Special thank you to our mod team, and yeah, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you next time from Beyond the Veil. Oh, Transplantar premiere tonight. I promised C I would promote that. Y'all should go see Transplantar. Season arc 4 is coming back tonight, so you should go check that out tonight.
Oh, yes. And if you like what C does, you can also find them in The Monster Within with me, where we got pretty toxic last session.
Just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. But yeah. All right. Now we're actually getting out of here, y'all. Thank you so much. Bye.